Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's video. Today I'm talking about how to deal with a bad boss. And I'm going to give you my 5 top tips on how to deal with a toxic manager. So for all of the best advice and guidance and actionable tools and tips, please subscribe to my channel. I drop a new video every single Thursday. If you don't know who I am, my name's Tess Brigham. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and board certified coach. And I have been specialized in working with young adults just like you, millennials, Gen Zers, who are needing help, guidance, advice on how to navigate these really important years. All right, so let's get started. So we all have had a bad boss in our lives, right? I know I've had more than one. And we all know that expression, right? People don't leave jobs, they leave bad bosses. So a bad boss can make or break your experience at work. And this is why knowing how to deal with a bad boss is so important. Because the thing is that just like bad roommates, you'll have at least one bad boss in your life. And these are the kinds of tips I wish I had when I was dealing with some really bad bosses when I was in my early 20s. All right, so I want to share with you these 5 tips. The first tip is this: decide if you're going to stay at the job or go. Too many clients of mine come to me and they say, I hate my job, I hate my boss, they're a miserable, awful person, they make me so unhappy, and I want to leave. And then the next day they'll come back and they'll say, no, I don't want to leave, and maybe I should stay, maybe I do this, maybe I do that, right? You've got to assess the job and really decide for yourself, okay, is it worth for me to stay at this job? And there's times in our lives where we have to stay at a job. We don't have a choice. There are no other jobs in the market. This is the best choice that we have, and we have to endure it. We have to just deal with this bad boss, and the rest of the tips will address that. But this one's really important because you have to consciously decide for yourself whether you're going to stay or go. Part of the crazy making of a bad boss is not feeling like you have a lot of control over how you react to the boss. And if you constantly have one foot maybe out the door and inside and out and in, that doesn't help you. It gets you more confused. So if you're going to go, that's a great choice. Go and start working on, like yesterday, getting out of this job, and use the tips I'm going to give you in a minute to deal with the boss until you're able to go. But if you decide to stay, say to yourself, I am staying, which means I have to figure out how to deal with this person and stop using their behavior as a constant excuse of thinking about going. All right. So that's tip number 1, decide if you're going to stay or go. Make the conscious choice. Tip number 2 is recognize your boss isn't going to change. This is who they are. Why they are this way, I don't know. What motivates them, I have no idea. But this is who they are. You complaining about them, thinking about ways in which they can change, lamenting about how if they just did this, this, and this, life would be so much better. That's all well and good, but none of that is going to help you. You have to recognize that your boss is who they are. You cannot change them. You can only change how you react to them and how you see them and view them. So stop trying to fantasize about all the different ways in which, you wish they were different. Again, that's just like tip number 1, which is, do you stay or go at your job? It's the same idea, right? Which is, you've got to decide your headspace, decide what you're going to focus on in order to clear out and have time and energy to focus on what's real. Because once you're able to stop focusing so much on your boss, you can focus on your job and what your job is and what you can do and excelling at your job. Okay? So now, tip number 3 is, when your boss really starts to trigger you and make you crazy and make you feel anxious, stop and have empathy for them. I know. So empathy is when we put ourselves in their shoes to try to see someone else's perspective or point of view. So stop what you're doing and try to put yourself in your boss's shoes and try to understand why they're saying or doing what they're doing. And if you have no idea, and if you see their behavior as really crazy and erratic, and you're like, I don't even understand why anybody would behave that way, have empathy for the young, hurt child inside of them. Nobody is mean and miserable and a bully because they want to be or that they love being that. They feel like they have to be, or they feel like, they deserve to be, whatever it is. Hurt people hurt people. And the thing is, your boss is hurting people because they're hurt. So recognize and understand this has got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with them. All right. Tip number 4 is, if you have a boss that you're really worried about, like if they're the kind of boss that, will tell you like, no, I didn't tell you to do that, when they clearly did tell you to do that, or they maybe say inappropriate things that you're worried about, things that maybe you were thinking about going to HR with, get everything in writing. If you have a boss that kind of is always flip-flopping and changing their mind and telling you one thing but claiming they didn't, get everything in writing, meaning every time you have a conversation with them, shoot them an email afterwards and say, from my understanding, this is what you would like me to do. So then you have stuff in writing. Get as much of it as you can written down and at least emailed to your boss or your boss's boss or someone along the way to verify as a way of what your conversations are. Okay. Now, if you have the kind of boss that you're really worried about, like you're thinking about going to HR about, this is a time where you want to pull out your own personal notes, something where no one can see, and you're going to detail and write down on, December 2nd at this time, my boss made this comment to me or made this comment to so-and-so, this is how he reacted or she reacted, right? You want to get all of that in writing, because if you do need to make some sort of claim in the future, having written documentation, even though it's yours with very dates and they said this and then this happened, that is a very, very convincing argument to make, right? Usually people come in and say, well, this happened and that happened, and they can't remember, right? But when you walk through the door saying, here are all my notes, this is these detailed situations and interactions, that is a great way for you to protect yourself, okay? So finally, the last tip is this: have lots of boundaries around these kinds of bosses, meaning don't gossip with them. Don't talk about other people with them or to them. Don't allow them to talk about other people to you. Very politely nod your head and move out of the room. Never let them, engage you in their own toxic behavior. So having these boundaries around you will help you protect you from a lot of their need to want to wrap you up in their toxic drama. So lots of boundaries around, what you will and will not share with them, about not getting too personal with them about your life, really keeping things very distant and directive with them. And that might even mean having to spend a little time before you approach them, thinking about exactly what you want to say. That might mean having to spend a few minutes really not walking in there to talk to them in this position of fear and being scared. It's about really being able to be like, I have the right to talk to my boss about this. I want to express this. I'm going to walk in there. However they react is how they react. But, I'm going to walk in with confidence and purpose and not let their toxic energy get me down, right? Lots of boundaries around how you're going to be. All right. So those are my five top tips. How about you? Do you have an amazing suggestion for someone out there who might have a really terrible toxic boss? So please drop a comment below. I want to hear from you. What are some of your best top tips for dealing with a toxic boss? All right, so if you have a friend or someone that you know and love who's got a boss and could really use this advice, please share this video with them. And if you want to make sure that you get all my videos every single week, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment below on what you learned from this video. And finally, if you want more advice about careers, I have lots of other videos here on my YouTube channel. I recently talked about how to deal with imposter syndrome. I've been talking about how to get more confident at work in order to build trust. And another video is how to stop drifting and start taking control of your career. Lots of career stuff lately. So that's it for this week. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.